Hello, and welcome to Crossroads Radio, iHouse New York's radio. I'm here with my special guest this episode. Her name's Laura, and she is a pillar of the iHouse experience here.
Oh, stop.
It's true. And so we're going to talk to her a little about her work that she's doing here and life at iHouse. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. I'm happy too.
Really?
So
we're both happy.
Let's start off. Everyone has a story why they came to New York. What is your story? Does it go way back, like to you're like, what your idea of New York, Big Apple, anything like that?
Oh wow, it does go way back.
I love it.
It goes way back to Sesame Street.
Okay.
And my understanding that New York was Sesame Street, or Sesame Street was New York, which apparently is the case for a lot of people.
I like it.
And then it continued on, through the 90s rap movements when I became pretty much addicted to P. Diddy and the whole family there. It's a little embarrassing to say.
Hey, hypnotized. Everyone's got a place in their heart for hypnotized.
Hip hop. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
Biggie.
Can't you see? Exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Love it. Where does he go? Like in the car on the bridge when he's driving? Like he climbs out of the car and where does he go? They're driving. The convertible. He's not in the car anymore?
It's the mystery.
Yeah.
It's the mystery of hip hop.
Where did he go?
So, there was that, and there was just, later a fascination with Spike Lee.
Okay.
Lots of different sort of artistic portrayals of New York.
Cool.
Woody Allen movies, obviously.
Right, you're hitting on like a spectrum of media here.
Yes,
fantastic.
I'm a cultural junkie, and I think New York is the place for my kind.
To get your fix.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent. So talk a little bit about what you're working on right now. Why are you living at iHouse?
So I came to iHouse because I was basically desperate for housing. I had been rejected from every noted place of residence or hotel. My parents were beyond angry with me, but they had heard, apparently they had several different couples they knew that had met in iHouse and become sweethearts.
Oh.
And they said, oh, of course, we recommend this wonderful place. Find romance, live a life of happiness. And my parents are...
I hope to meet your parents one day.
Yeah, they're the multicultural mix, Turkish-American.
Nice.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cool.
So they had recommended... I hadn't heard about it before then. And so we came, I had applied, got waitlisted.
Well, it's sometimes the best,
That's what I'm saying.
You dedicate, you stay there.
I stayed there. The first 24 hours in New York, my mom and I got in a cab. We came to Riverside Desk. We said, hey, did you have any cancellations?
Yeah.
And they had 3.
No way.
So
you came here. That's how you got it. That's awesome. That is so New York, by the way.
Exactly.
Are there any tickets, cancellations for the show? Oh, really? Okay.
Great.
You can live
exactly. And it turned out like I had this fabulous room, and I had decided to take on this peace education program at Teachers College at Columbia, because it's something I've always wanted to do since I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about peace education because we had a speaker in high school named Coleman McCarthy, who's pretty much a revolutionary in the field, and he sort of talked about the history of violence. And he did this amazing sort of experiment, if you will, of this all-girls boarding school where I was. And he said, name 7 generals, name 7 presidents, like all of these, sort of facets of American history. And it was very easy for us, Then he asked, name 7, nurses, or 7... social workers that were famous in history. Name 7 educational reformers. There was nothing, like maybe one person. And so it was sort of his explanation about how our history books are really just documenting violence, and they're not really telling the tale of what happened besides the War of 1812,
Interesting.
the Civil War. I mean, it's just, so that just got me right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I knew I wanted to do this program, and was delighted when I got in and came to New York.
Okay, so talk a little bit about what peace education is and how it's apart from other types of education.
Yeah.
And then let's go into your project a little bit.
I will. Okay, so peace education, I would say, I was just telling you, is like this. We're the self-assigned umbrella of education, because every type of education could be peace education, potentially, but oftentimes other types of education wouldn't define themselves as such.
Okay.
Which is fine, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But peace education is basically sort of examining critical pedagogy, aspects of conflict resolution, resistance movements, looking at ways in which, art, sports, all different types of, activities can sort of bridge this nonverbal communication and bring about lasting relationships. I mean, I'm sure, like, you've experienced that there's something about when you don't have to talk,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a type of learning that sort of transcends all of this factual, very brainy kind of interaction we have, and it's very powerful and it's very emotional.
Wait, have you ever seen this movie? I saw it when I was at a peace camp when I was like 11. It's called Color Wars, and there's no
I know of it.
spoken line in it at all, and it's like the story of a kingdom of crayon colors, and so like there's the blue kingdom and the red kingdom, and then at the I'm not, spoiler alert, at the end they all come together because like they make a rainbow or something.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so it was like no one spoke the same language in this camp. Like 4 kids spoke from different parts of the world, and so but we all watched it and we all like understood it, and it was like kind of a moment for
it was
all
the
of us.
moment.
Yeah.
It was the nonverbal.
Yeah.
That really
so
got
it made me
you.
think of that.
And the art, see?
I wonder if Columbia has that movie. I've been thinking about that. It's a fantastic movie.
I'm sure they do. I would say like most of the graduate students probably, well, all students should probably watch that.
Yeah, everyone should watch that movie.
Especially if you're in education.
Yeah. So anyway, go back to your project a little bit.
Yeah. So, I had been interested in peace education because I really wanted to flip history.
Okay.
And address the gaps that were really that were really like the stories of the other, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of women like myself, of people of color, of LGBT communities, which is sort of slowly, as you see, starting to come to the forefront of American politics.
Yeah.
And so that's very exciting. But so right now my professor and I are working on this book, and
What's the book on exactly?
it's for young adults,
Mm-hmm.
to sort of be the advocates of the agents of their own change.
Okay.
And it's providing them with a history of human rights in the U.S.
Okay.
As told by the people. So Native American people.
So like a better representation
yes.
of the different.
Yeah, people with disabilities. And we're sort of showing both sides, both like the discrimination that has occurred in this country, but also the really amazing sort of integrated communities that have been part of, the American quilt for as long as, there have been Europeans here.
Mm-hmm.
Or even as far back as the indigenous people came to the Americas. Because people think multiculturalism and diverse communities is a very new concept,
Mm-hmm.
but in fact it's really not, because from ages ago there have been communities that didn't speak the same language or were the same color or
Mm-hmm.
What have you, living together and trading or farming together, all different types of activities. And that's that's the positive spin on history, is that we think that all of these concepts are very 21st century, but they're really ingrained like within us, but we don't know how.
And in the process of this, tell me what kind of mediums you're using. You talked about your kind of motivation coming to New York originally. Is that having any influence on this representation?
Well, I mean, clearly, like, I don't think you can really talk to or interact with teen audiences unless you use sort of a variety of multimedia sources. So we're kind of putting films, both documentaries, we're using cartoons, we're using just a lot of suggestions of where to go and get your fix of this. If, this particular topic can be seen more clearly in, this particular film or in this particular song. I mean, there's lots of ways that we are sort of going about this. So, and we realize that you have to have more than one trick in your box before. And if you're gonna really ignite youth to be their own agents of change. Captivate them, exactly.
And so, in this project, are you envisioning it as a textbook used in a course?
It's not. No. It's more of like kids pick it up on the shelf, because, I mean, as we sort of seen particularly in the last month, about what can everyday people like you and I, or people who
are we everyday people? I'm just kidding. We live at our house.
Everyday people.
We're exceptional.
We're exceptional everyday people.
Sorry.
No, but that's sort of the message, right? It's like that everyone can be an exceptional everyday person.
Yeah.
I think there was something about on TED. Sorry, shameless plug, but I can't really get through a conversation without bringing it up.
It's okay. Just, I see them as my competitor, but that's okay.
No. About sort of the unsung heroes, really. The activists who nobody knows about that led these amazing movements all over the world. And there's sort of the anonymous do-gooders, right?
Well, they don't, one plus is there's no paparazzi. That probably gets
that
people's,
that's true.
Grill.
They do that.
Sorry, go ahead.
But
Anonymous.
So, essentially, like giving youth the power to look at other youth-driven organizations and movements and see what, like, exactly had to be done for those movements to take place. Instead of feeling like, here I am at my computer watching this sad video, and I don't have the money, social status, age, I don't really have any of these odds in my favor. What do I do?
So this sounds a little bit like social movement theory.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
series of events that come together to help move a movement along.
Exactly. So I guess we're trying to help spell that out for young people and hoping that, they'll be inspired and they'll also sort of have these fundamentals of American history that they didn't learn in class, like that becomes essentially their own.
It's very interesting because it sounds like you're asking people to kind of look beyond themselves.
Yeah.
And this will kind of open doors to more resources by looking at how other movements were created. Their world will grow.
Exactly. I mean, I'm always a big proponent of doing things in a holistic way. Really that I'm not really a big fan of departments or disciplines because I think really learning takes place in an interdisciplinary level. And certainly, like, if you do any work with children, you see that their parts of their brain and their thought process is activated with lots of different mediums. So that's kind of the idea behind like looking at social justice from all of the different angles, both like the historical, the political, the social, and then like, you know, what particular steps needed to happen, be they like, you know, signing a petition, sending a bill, getting a website up, getting, you know, your community involved. And it's even like just sort of bringing it back to the communities. So like, again, not to be corny, but sort of the think globally, act locally. So, I mean, hopefully like this sort of information and these tools will be utilized so that teenagers can look at their own neighborhoods and say, hey, like this sounds really similar like to what's going on in my neighborhood, and in that particular scenario they were able to achieve that, so we can definitely overcome whatever obstacle we're going through.
Or why not try?
It's a big, it's like it's interesting because I've noticed that with food, like school cafeterias, there's definitely like the injustice in the food at schools is a particular like human right that really resonates with children. I did an observation in East Harlem and on social justice and leadership, and that was like one of their causes that these particular teenagers brought up was, you know, we can't really learn or be educated if we don't have like the proper nutrition to do so. And the cafeteria isn't offering us that, and our neighborhood isn't offering us that. So what do we do to address this inequality? And it was interesting because like my professor's research in India with a very poor community, when they learned about human rights, like the first thing they wanted to talk about were like, this food is unedible, you know, and it's our right to like get nourished, and
basic human.
This is basic human right, and it's also like political and government. You know, the government guarantees these things, so why aren't we getting them because we're poor? So it's interesting. You see those parallels really drawn out, and that's also like what we kind of want, like through this project.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so start now to move back.
Yes. Let's take it back.
Let's talk a little bit about your role at iHouse. So we talked about your journey to New York, your project that you're doing in New York, and now let's talk about kind of your role in the house.
Well, I kind of
I mean, let's face it. Like some other of my guests, everybody knows who you are. I always see you everywhere, and it seems like you have a hand in everything that happens in terms of activities.
I try. I'm an only child, so I like to feel included.
Okay.
But I sort of came in head first. I was very excited about the community, and
how long have you been here?
This is my 3rd year.
Awesome. Whoa, that's a high five. That's so cool.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I mean,
they're kicking me out.
You're just here. You're here and just with such ease. So.
Yeah, it's weird. It's, you know, you really make something your home, especially like when you have such great staff and administrators. I've definitely, I guess in my involvement, I've also developed those relationships as well. Yeah. But yeah, I started off really getting into cultural hours because I really like to perform. I think I've been in 9.
Nice.
Maybe more, maybe less.
Oh
around
yeah,
that.
I loved you in New York Culture Hour.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you so funny with the New Amsterdam part.
Oh
yeah, that was great.
You like that play on Indians and Indians?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually my writing and directing debut as well.
Excellent.
I mean, I was happy to play the role, but you know, 3rd year, I was like, I have to get in.
Yeah. Let's step up.
Do this.
Yeah.
But right now, you know, I'm a resident fellow. I moved to the north this year, so I could just explore all territories.
How was that transition?
It's been interesting.
It's different.
It's different. It's a little quieter, and you know, great roommates. Can't complain there.
And South Building, does it have roommates also, or it's just
no.
North's the only one? South's just rooms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, singles.
Yeah.
And North Building has
you have suite mates and stuff.
Sweet living.
But it's also cool because you have like families, so you always have.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
The little kids, and
iHouse little kids are so cute.
They are.
I think it's something.
It's like something special about iHouse brings like the cutest internet. They're like models.
They're so cute. They're like Australian boys, and then there's this little Japanese girl.
Oh yeah.
And then I think
there was the Korean girl who came this year.
There's some kid from Scandinavia. I can't tell what
Norwegian.
language. Oh my god, he's so cute because him and his mom
cute.
are always talking, and it's just like, where am I?
I know. It's very cool for us, I guess, as adults to see, kids growing at such a fast pace. I mean, I feel like the learning curve in graduate school is like really, you learn a lot quickly, but then you're like, well, not compared to the 3-year-old.
Kid who lives in my house, he can tie his shoes now. Couldn't even walk in 4 months.
Exactly. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. I enjoy that too. So that's where they live. I gotta go hang out.
I know. And then, of course, we have our fun parties. There's actually chocolate and cheese fondue later.
Where?
In the North Floor.
This is
breaking
so
news.
iHouse. This is so iHouse. Just
There's
random
free food.
delicious food. But wait, I have a question for you.
Talk to me.
What is your favorite event of all time in your 3 years? Let's break it down. Event as a title, and then actual time activity that happened.
Oh man.
So you could say like, I love opening weeks, but then I want to know like a specific
time.
Yeah, or something. It doesn't have to be the same.
You know how they say the first crush is the deepest.
Oh wow. Wow. We're doing big things here on Crossroads
Radio.
Right.
I think the first All Nations was pretty awesome for me because
I just drew you a butterfly, by the way.
That's beautiful. Is that because I'm in peace education?
Maybe. I was
Beautiful.
inspired.
Yeah, so my first All Nations, I was recruited into an amazing dance hall production. And dance hall is Jamaican style of dance that can be incredibly complicated, and usually people, unless you like have that in you innately, it's very hard to follow rhythms and sort of, there's a whole like kind of cultural dance hall icons that are also part of that. But we had like a Swiss guy, a Canadian guy, like Cameroonian, Singaporean, like we were really embodying iHouse in that dance.
Nice.
And I just remember like practicing, and Shauna Kay, our fearless leader from Jamaica, was like, you have to give it more energy. And we were like, okay, what do you mean? What kind of energy? I mean, but somehow magically, and that's what I love about performance, is that somehow magically it comes together at the end.
Yeah.
Like, if everyone's sort of in the right headspace about it,
yeah,
then it just came together, and we just basically threw a party on stage, and it was culture, it was this different culture, it was this like West Indies, Jamaican culture, but it was also just so much fun to watch. I mean, people were just like getting into it, like it was schmormalities, right? It was just fun for the whole family.
And so talk a little bit more about the overarching
the All Nations.
Yes, because it's timely that we're talking about this.
It's timely. I didn't bring it up on purpose. It is.
I think it just came up.
I think it just came up.
Yeah, because it's a place in your heart.
It holds a special place.
Yeah.
Well, All Nations is just really the best of iHouse. I mean, of course it's spring.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel
it's getting warmer, except today was cold again.
Yeah. We can't always count on the weather.
Yeah, that's right.
You just feel like the whole community comes together, is so psyched to show everyone like their foods, their dances, their songs, the general merrymaking of life. And I'm just gonna say that celebration is a type of peace education, because of course that is a universal theme right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and how many times have like people from other countries gone to like Carnival or other huge festivities that take place all over the world and been like, wow, I really feel like one with the universe.
Right, I'm into that. So let's talk. So, All Nations, it has a food portion of the evening,
which is John's favorite.
Which I'm excited about. They have a lot of nations have tables, and you go down. They've set up the main room in this kind of like matrix emptiness, so it can just pack the most people into it.
Right. We want to get a lot of folks to sample these delicious goods. Then we have this like, fun sports exhibition. And then we're gonna have a yoga competition.
Whoa, I've heard about this. Is Arturo gonna be in?
Yeah, it's gonna be that I'm really looking forward to. We're gonna have a water pong competition.
I don't even know what that is.
Do you remember beer pong?
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Okay. It's the.
We've got sports for the non-sportsmen.
I got it. It's like bar sports.
Right.
I think that's what they call them.
I think that's great.
And then we have performing arts section.
Oh yeah. We've got dances.
A cabaret.
Yes.
Music section.
But then of course we have the general merrymaking, which is the funk band just jamming
music.
Away.
Awesome.
Where
are they going to be?
They're going to be up in Davis Hall.
Awesome.
I believe, and then the choir will perform a little like funkiness.
Ditty, nice.
It's gonna be funky for sure. I don't want to.
Don't spoil
anything.
No spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I
only spoiled the movie Color Wars.
And then, by that time when people are feeling like, music, dance, film, art, life, then we have our breakfast.
Fantastic.
Our late night snack, which is my favorite meal of the day. I don't know about
whoever invented midnight breakfast should win.
I think so.
Whatever, they should win it.
And I think it's a pretty also universal theme. People need to eat at all portions of the day.
People like to eat. Food is actually something brings
people together. Exactly.
Food and culture, music, dance.
It's glorious.
Socializing. It's wonderful. Well, I think that's a good point to just thank you again for being on the show, Laura.
Thank you.
And from me to you, all of our listeners, if you get a chance to come to All Nations at an international house around the world, you should definitely do it, as my advice to you. And here is me, Crossroads Radio, International House, New York, saying you'll hear from me soon.